No. I turn on the camera and then I remember to clean the camera. So I know I've said some crazy shit on this channel, and the thing is, it's all fucking true. Like, I just can't. I'm not gonna lie to people. I mean, I've said some wackadoodle things that, I'm sure that sounds wackadoodle. Oh, by the way, if you're returning, welcome back. If this is your first time, this is going to be a particularly strange video, so buckle the fuck up, buttercup. Yes, I cuss, and I tell the truth, so if you don't like either one of those things, this is definitely not the place for you. Like, I tell the truth to the point where it seems kind of insensitive, but you have to understand that, like, you don't have to understand, but, like, it'd be better for everyone, for you, basically, if you understand that, I've been through some gnarly shit, and I have a lot of empathy for people, a lot. So when I'm saying things, it may come off as, harsh, or, abrasive, or even downright fucking conceited sometimes, because I'm pretty damn confident. But, that confidence was hard, it's been a hard one. So, I don't even know what to say after that. 1:33 on the clock, on the timer. So, I'm watching this video. I'm actually not watching it, but I've been listening to this video, and it's about some condition called PMO, and basically what it is you see distortions in people's faces. Now, in and of itself, that's not really a strange thing. People's vision goes bad sometimes. When I've been staring at the phone for too long, my vision gets weird too. But this is a particular condition where people see distortions in people's faces. It's specifically in the face. It's not, and it's in person. It's not in computer screens. It's not on the TV. It's in person. Not in pictures, like on photograph paper, it's not, sorry, I took those out. So, a while ago, and this threw me for a loop. Like, this took me aback. But then I go through, I deal with so much spiritual warfare that and on this piece of property where I was staying, after I had the fire in the car, the family I was staying with, and I told them this too, I had never experienced, I wouldn't say never, but I had not experienced so much spiritual warfare in any one given place in all of Santa Barbara in a long time. And this was, I asked them if they knew if they were, like, living on burial grounds or something. That's how intense this was for me. But later, after finding more out about these people and where they come from and the things that they, worship, basically, I became clear to me what was going on. So I didn't bring it up again. I just saw 3:32 on the timer. So I wish they put the timer, like, somewhere other than right below the camera, Whatever. Anyway, so this condition, it's called PMO, and forgive me, but, for the moment, I'm not remembering what the acronym stands for. But it's a condition, like I said, that people see distortions in people's faces, specifically human faces, not any animal faces, nothing like that. So, almost a year ago now, I had a fire in my car, and I, was very graciously put up by a family from one of the churches that I used to attend. And like I said, while I was on that property, there was an enormous, and I do mean this, I mean it wholeheartedly, 100%, an enormous amount of spiritual warfare, to the point where, like, I really was considering whether they were, like, we were on burial grounds or something, like indigenous burial grounds. It was that intense. Really, I'm not even exaggerating. So, specifically, these distortions are perceived as demonic faces, or distortions in faces, that because and people have, you know, mistakenly been diagnosed with things like schizophrenia and hallucinations and things like that. But that's just the thing, is that you're aware that it's happening, and that's one of the hallmarks of this particular condition. And another thing that I thought was really interesting was, why are all these news outlets reporting on it all at the same time? That's weird. I mean, that's not, you know, I mean, news usually follows news, right? But that's not normal for something so odd. I mean, it's such an odd thing, you know? It's not something you'd go telling people. But I had one interaction with one of the one of the people that was on the property, and excuse me, and I was looking at this person. I wasn't looking at them directly, but I was talking to them, and they were getting angry with me. I could feel it. And I wasn't looking directly at this person. Like I said, I was looking down at a counter, because there was food on the counter that we had prepared. And in my peripheral vision, because this person was standing further back from me and on the other side of the counter, and their face distorted, and I mean, it looked like kind of like an insect face. I mean, I can't really. It was like 3 sets of eyes, like the normal eyes, and then the eyes, and then the eye, but all the eyes were like black and very shadowed. The face changed, and as soon as I looked up at them, the face went back to normal, but I could still feel it there. There were a number of different things that happened with certain individuals on that property that I will never forget. Like, really strange, even for me, and I'm a veteran of strange, but like, the fuck? And I feel it on people too. And it's not like, it's nothing that I'm not afraid. It doesn't scare me in the fucking slightest bit. It is strange though. And then and I don't think I've ever told anyone this before. I don't think I've ever talked about it. I don't think I've ever told anyone. I don't think I've talked about it on camera. I don't think I've ever said anything about it. I may have, but I don't think so. I mean, it's possible. But even if I had, I think, you know, when I would have talked about it would have been, a while ago now. Excuse me. And, I know I haven't talked to anyone personally, like face to face about this. But so I'm listening to YouTube today, and this video pops across my, my feed about this fucking disorder, and I'm like, I'm really not looking for this, I'm really not trying to focus on this. I'm really not trying to think about it. It's not something that I spend any of my time on, but this video pops up, and so I'm like, all right, well, I'll listen to it, because basically you have a lot of fucking time to kill when you're living in a car, alone with your dog. So I'm listening to it, and no, I'm not talking about reptilian shit. That's not what I'm talking about. No, this is something entirely different. I wouldn't say it's entirely different, because they act very similar in their narcissistic ways and shit like that. But it was not a reptilian face at all in any way, shape, or form. I've seen it on other people too, and I just didn't really think anything of it. I thought maybe it was just my vision, whatever. Like, there's a lot of things that I haven't spoken about, especially on this channel, because, there's always that, I wouldn't say there's always there, but there's often, especially when something first happens to you, there's often a tendency to think that somehow there's something wrong with you, or maybe it was just a one-time thing, or whatever the fuck, like, I've perceived it before, but the difference was, I felt it. I didn't see it, like, with my eyes. Saw this with my eyes. Like, I was seeing this. It was not a vision in my mind. Because most of the things that I see them in my mind's eye. I don't see them with my eyes. But this, I fucking saw it with my eyes. It didn't scare me. I mean, it was creepy, don't get me wrong. But, like, I wasn't scared. And, you know, I really just carried on the conversation because the other person seemed to be completely oblivious to the fact that I was perceiving this. And, you know, like I said, I didn't, you know, I didn't feel frightened or anything. So I'm sure there was, like, no outward, excuse me, no outward, indication that I was seeing this, you know, because I didn't give any. I didn't flinch, you know, not at all. But, this was, you know, this, I didn't think much of it. And then I'm listening to this video and I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? Like, you know, this is obviously, like, there's not very many cases of it. Because I would imagine that if you start seeing things like that, like, with your eyes, and there's nothing wrong with my vision at all. Nothing at all. Oh, excuse me. Oh, pardon me. And there's never been anything wrong with my vision. That was odd. I don't think somebody doesn't want me to be talking about this at all. Or an entity does not want me to be talking about this. But that's tough titty, said the kitty when the milk went shitty. So, and no, it's not the fact that I smoke, because this is like a very particular tickle right here, right in my throat chakra. I feel it. It's not in my chest. It's not anywhere else. It's right there, directly in my throat chakra. So yeah, and I don't cough, like, ever, even though I am a smoker. So, yeah. But this, I didn't, like I said, I didn't think anything of it at the time. Not really. 12:12 on the timer. I didn't think anything of it. I just rolled through it. Cause, like, so much weird shit, excuse me, had been happening on that property that I really just let it go. You know, I just let it go. And then I saw something very strange go on with somebody very young. I mean, like, very young, like a child, like under 5 years old. And that creeped me the fuck out, because I, you know, as far as I had read in the Bible and so on and so forth, children can't have things go like that go on with them. Well, I beg to differ with that shit. But, yeah, this person was getting angry with me. And it was it's such a simple thing that they were getting upset about, too. They kept telling me that I didn't know what they were telling me. Like, that I didn't understand what they were saying. And I said to them, no, I do, though. I really do understand. And that's when I saw it. And there was a darkness that crept into the room, too, at the time. And it was certainly not anything that I was, I mean, at the time I had been fasting for 2 months. I had broken my fast at this point, but I was very clear, you know, I hadn't been smoking cigarettes. I wasn't smoking any pot, nothing. I don't take any prescription medication, none of that. And I'm not a seeing things person. Like, I've seen a lot of shit in my life, but it's, in my history, it's never been one of my things. It's not something I see with my eyes. It's been in my mind's eye, you know, the pineal gland and third eye, all that kind of stuff. And, like I said, I really hadn't given it much thought. I mean, I've seen the things on especially on camera, where, there's, like, you know, faces that tile out, like, you know, through, like, cable connection and like, you know, like network television. It's like on a network television, you can see the screen, like, tiling out, and it does look weird, I'm not gonna lie. And it's even more odd that it's only a distortion with the face. It's not anywhere else, because when a cable TV, you know, like fiber optics, or even a digital, you know, tiling out, it distorts the entire image, not just that part, you know, just the face. And I thought, well, that's that's different, you know. I mean, I'd seen those, but like, you know, and they do look distinctly reptilian, but this was not reptilian at all. Not at all. It was something entirely different. In its appearance anyway. I wouldn't say that it's different in its actions, but like, I hadn't really given any of this much thought, and I certainly wasn't going to do a video on it, but until I heard this video, you know, that I was listening to on YouTube, and I thought, you know, that's odd. What this person is picking out is definitely, like, there's a story back there, there's a story behind it. And I do believe that more people will be able to perceive these things more clearly and like consciously perceive them, not just in your mind's eye, and not just out of the corner of your eye kind of thing, like really like see them. And there's a book that I read when I was very young. I don't think I was even like 20 years old yet. It's called Twilight Eyes. It's a Dean Koontz, like kind of sci-fi type book. And I didn't think much of it at the time. Yeah, I love the book. It's a fantastic read. And, but the whole premise of the story is there's a young man, and he's different. And so he, you know, I think his parents die, something like that. He's a teenager in the book. And so he runs away to the carnival, basically. But his deal is he can see these things with his eyes. Like, he can see them. He can see what he calls lizards. I think he calls them lizards. No, he doesn't call them lizards. I think he calls them demons in the book. This young protagonist man, he calls them demons. And he can see them, and they're horrible creatures, like really horrible creatures, like not kind, not good at all. And they act like what they look like. And cigarette keeps going out. So, keeps trying to go out. So I, you know, like I said, I really had left it, you know, I mean, I read that book so long ago. And I never, you know, at the time I had seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. By the time even I was 6 years old, I had experienced a lot of spiritual warfare. However, never, I don't think I ever thought, never imagined that I could see them, any of them, or even perceive of them necessarily, although you can definitely feel them, but seeing them, that's an entirely different thing. And I don't really know what to say about it other than things are ramping up after the eclipse. Things are getting different. Things are different. Things are changing, and rapidly, like exponentially, quickly. And, you know, I would just like to be a voice out there, you know, to let other people know, no, you're not crazy. I know I've said some things that, you know, could be considered crazy. And, you know, the thing is, I'm not the least bit crazy. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your mind. Because that's one of the things that the enemy attacks you on. For the Lord does not bring the spirit of fear, but of power, peace, and a sound mind. And I'm not talking about any religious bullshit. I'm talking about that's just the true nature of Source. It's the true nature of God. Period. I don't really care what God you're talking about. That's just the way it is. God is truth. God is light. God is, you know, God is not those things. So to doubt one's mind is one of the enemy's tactics, you know, and to doubt your heart as well. All right, I give up on that cigarette. So, you know, I would just like to be a voice out here, you know, telling people, like, this is real. It's really happening. Yes, it's really happening. You may or may not have anyone to talk to about it. I know I don't really have anyone to talk to about it. I never have. My mother, maybe, but my mother's been dead for a long time, so, you know, I have no people to talk to is what I should say. Not really. I mean about this. No, not about this. And so, but to not have other people to directly commune with and relate to it can be a very harsh thing. If you're not, mentally, emotionally, especially emotionally, mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared for, severe isolation, it can be a real shocker to the system in every way. So, basically, I'm just making this video to put myself out there and say, you know what, I've seen that. I know what it is. I'm not afraid of it at all. Not at all. And also, it's normal. I wouldn't say it's normal, but things are getting strange, like more and more strange. And like I said, very quickly it's happening. It's not something that's going to slow down. I don't feel like that's going to happen. It's very, it's very intense. I would say that, if you are experiencing things that are, really different for you, the best way to kind of mitigate the damage of it, because it can be shockingly weird. And some of the best ways to deal with it are meditation. Go within yourself. You need to be able to trust yourself, because if you don't trust yourself, you're gonna be in trouble with yourself. And you will question your mind. You will doubt things. And the best way I found to, prayer is very important. And I don't mean it in any kind of religious sense. I mean having a personal relationship with God will save you every time. And I don't mean not some religious sense. It will save you. It will save you a lot of trouble, save you a lot of time, save you a lot of energy. So, but you can always tell a spirit, always, because I've seen some things that visually were fucking terrifying. Like, visually, it was very, it was scary, but what saved me, was doing vibe checks, checking my heart. How does this feel? If it feels bad, it's probably bad. I wouldn't say that's always true, but you can do a vibe check. Like, I saw something not too long ago. It was actually last summer. And this was visually scary. Like, what I saw with my eyes was scary. And the only way I knew that this thing was not, anything that I should be frightened of was that, first of all, it told me not to be frightened of it, which is typically what angels say, especially biblically. They say, do not be afraid. And frankly, any demon or, entity that's awful, any evil entity, they feed off of fear. They're never going to tell you not to be afraid. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say never, because there are definitely a lot of trickster spirits out there. However, that's not the typical fashion of it. That's not how they work. But this thing was very concerned about how I felt, and very concerned that I was actually scared, that I was put off by seeing it, and that I was concerned about my dog because, she's important to me. But do a vibe check, check the vibrations of whatever it is you're dealing with, because that will tell you 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, what you need to be concerned about or not concerned about. And if you have further questions, take them to God and your Elohim in prayer, because God and your Elohim, especially the Elohim, they will answer you. Elohim are angels. So, I think these things have woken up in this present timeline in order to hide their tricks and make us feel like we're losing heavily. And like I said, you know, these things, they're not, they just don't have any good intentions, you know, the awful things. Now, like I said, there are a lot of trickster spirits out there, a lot, and, but you can trust, if you know you can trust your gut, so to speak, like if you know you can trust your heart, you can trust your instincts, you can trust your intuition, I suggest going with that, because it's really the only way that I've ever been able to clearly and every time discern what's going on. I mean, I have gone back on my discernment. I have turned my back on my own intuition before, and I paid for it dearly with people, especially when I felt like, you know, this isn't right. You know, something's not right about this. Maybe I didn't even know at the time what that not right thing was, but I'll tell you what, you know, and in some instances, I wouldn't say that I regret, I don't regret having those experiences, because they made me who I am, and they made me stronger for the knowledge that I was able to extract from those experiences. However, when, you know, I did go through some really dark shit, because of, ignoring my, because of ignoring my intuition. Like, I went through it, you know, I didn't fare very well through those experiences. I mean, I survived them, of course, but, you know, feet are getting cold. It was snowing up here on the mountain the other day. So, yesterday, in fact, it was just yesterday, 27 on the timer. So, you know, listen to your intuition. I don't know that there's any way to really cultivate it, but, I think that doing the vibe check, trusting your gut, is going to serve you more than anything else. You know, I mean, there are just certain things, and you're just gonna know. You're just gonna know by how it feels. You know, how does it make you feel, and how do those people feel? You know, do you feel this kind of grimy residue when you're done talking to them on the phone? Yeah, there's a reason for that. You know, and it's not always necessarily the person, but it could be an energy attachment to them. It's like a lot of things that go on in this world. It can get pretty complicated. Excuse me. And the best thing, really, that I found to be able to do, like I said, you know, trust your gut, but, you know, cultivate a strong personal relationship with spirit. And I'm talking about, like, with God. That's what I'm saying. With your ascended masters, whoever they are for you. You know, because there are a lot of ascended masters out there, and different deities and things like that. But you know, like, build a strong foundation, because it will serve you, and it will serve the people around you. You'll be able to protect yourself and your family's better, and your friends, than you will be able to without it. You know, to not be, let's see, what is this saying? I think the biggest way to confuse those entities is really a lack of fear, because they feed off of that. They feed off of it. And the best way to, you know, confuse them is literally because there's nothing to be afraid of. They're not powerful. They're not. When you stand in your power spiritually, stop, yeah, please. Okay, stop. When you stand in your power, there's literally nothing to be afraid of. And, you know, because you're standing in your power, when you do that, also, you know, of course, I know that the name is, you know, the name of Christ, or the name of Yehosha or Yeshua is not Christ, is not Jesus. However, there's power in the name, in the usage. It's not a name, in the title, Jesus. And you're really actually saying like Savior and Messiah when you say Jesus Christ. However, there's power there, a lot of it. Use it, you know, rebuke the enemy when you need to. And, you know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't integrate our shadow and our light. We absolutely should, 100%. But those are our shadows. Other people need to integrate theirs. I'm not gonna make friends with those shadows and say that they're, you know, not my enemies, because they most certainly fucking are. And I mean, at the very least, they're my adversaries. They're not interested in seeing anything good happen for me. They want to sow doubt. They want you to go back to sleep. Go to the light. You know, always go to the sun. Whether that's like, you know, in the light, like, you know, in the light of the sun, or it's to the Son of God. Either way, there's power there. So, you know, look for joy, be full of joy, and there's freedom in joy. And never underestimate bravery. You know, you may not feel like a very brave person, but I'm sure that you're actually more brave than you think you are. So, anyhow, I hope everyone's doing well. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and I'll see you in the next video.